Welcome, everyone, to episode 4 of the Sacred Voices of Sedona. I'm here with the divine Miss M, Megan Martinez.
Hi, guys.
And I'm Susie Beiler, lead facilitator and founder in the Creation Temple. And today we are talking about the 7 rules for engagement here on planet Earth and in the other realms.
So these are Susie and I have discussed these things and we're in agreement on these things. So, but the pretty much last year of my life has been going through just some really deep refining. And we've talked about this in our previous videos. And so we've laid it all out there and showed everything that we were working on and what we were working through. And so this one is kind of the conclusions, what I've come up with. These 7 rules of engagement for the game of life that we're playing. And while the universe is an abundant place and here on Earth we have limitless possibilities for our experience, these things kind of remain the same. And if you can play within these rules, you really can have any life you want to create. Would you agree?
Totally thrive.
Yeah.
Totally thrive.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, and anytime anything comes up, you can also put them into through the filter of these rules.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Put them through the filter. Yeah. See where you're maybe a little bit out of alignment and where you can refine. I mean, even as you were saying some of the things to me, I was tracking a little bit and I was like, oh, I need to adjust this or I need to look at that.
Yeah.
So it kind of is a filter that way.
Yeah. It still happens for me. I'm still working on myself. Even the masters are still working on themselves. So because I'm still here in the physical. And so when I have a feeling around something, I have to go through what is this really? Why is this coming up for me? Yeah. And bring it back to these things. Definitely. So we're going to do a series of videos on this, but we're going to start today just by doing an overview and maybe going a little bit in depth on 1 or 2 of them. Yeah, so as we go, whatever we feel moved to do, right?
we're always present with the flow. So,
yeah. So rule number 1, this one's really important. None of them are more important than the others, but this one trumps all the other ones when you none of this is real. Whoa, right? None of this is real. So this is all an illusion. Everyone knows the movie The Matrix, probably knows that this is a Matrix reality and that none of this is actually real. Yeah.
So I totally get it.
Yeah.
And when I feel my body, when I have emotional experiences, feels pretty real to me.
Feels very real, yeah. But have you ever had a dream that felt really real?
Well, yeah.
I have really intense dreams. Yeah. And so those feel really real to me when they're happening. Yeah. But then I wake up and I realize, oh my God, it was just a dream. Well,
so I would say maybe this is just an experience. This isn't good, bad. This is just an experience. And what we're going through right now.
We're in a waking dream that's being dictated by the dominant neural pathways in our mind. So whatever core beliefs we hold, whatever wounds we may be operating from are dictating the reality, the way that we experience this particular reality. Because even you and I are having a different experience right now, right?
Yeah, and I would say it's also, I don't know if dictated would be the word I would use, but it's guided by the soul.
Yeah.
So there's the neural pathways and those patterns and programs that we carry. Yeah. But I also see it it's guided by the soul.
Yeah, so the soul makes a choice before it comes in. I need to work on this particular thing, right? And why are we working on those things? This is another thing that we talked about before we got on camera. Why are we working on these things? Well, in order for us to go back to the oneness, to be one with God, we have to have our emotional bodies in divine order, divine perfection, so that we can handle what it's like to be one with God. And so our souls say, okay, this is where I didn't find that alignment last time. This is what I feel like I'm still holding on to and I need to work on. So let me create a divine experience for myself that helps me to work through these emotions. And so that's what I mean. When you're saying the soul comes into play. Now, once you're born, you go through the great forgetting of all that information.
That's what Prime Creator calls it, the great forgetting.
Yeah. Must have just picked that up. Right? Must have been tuning into
I mean, we wore the same colors today. What do you want?
Right. This was not on purpose. We did not get dressed together. So you go through this great forgetting. You forget about all of that stuff, and then and now you're here. And then every experience that you're having here. So you have the DNA codes that you came in with, and then you're adding. So DNA is getting mutated the whole time. We have the DNA of our ancestors. We have, and then we have our experience that we're having here. And so those experiences and the feelings, the reaction to those experiences is what creates the program. And so when you
the cellular memories from all the other lifetimes.
And the way to clear the programs is to go into the 7 rules of engagement. So number 1,
it's not real.
None of this is real. I know, it feels really real. But that's what makes it interesting. That's what makes it fun. Because if it didn't feel real, it wouldn't be fun.
If it didn't feel real, we wouldn't have physiological reactions. We wouldn't have emotional experiences. We wouldn't have this physicality.
But I've had moments where I've had a fight with a friend. And then I'm like, later, I'm just laughing really hard about it. Because I'm just like, oh my God.
Like, so ridiculous.
I thought that was so serious. Like, I was just like, I gotta prove how right I am. Like, this is so real to me, and I'm laughing like, oh my God, this is so silly. Like, like,
no, it's funny though when you can heal from that kind of thing.
Yeah,
when you look back and you're like, what even was that?
Yeah,
like that's meaningless now.
Yeah.
So that's also speaks to our potential as humans and our potential for healing, and I think that part's pretty cool.
Yeah. So number 1, none of this is real. So number 2. Going into number 2, it kind of rolls into the next one. There is no separation, right? And this is something I think is misinterpreted a lot because, like, it might be interpreted through like a virtuous filter. Like, there's no separation, so I just have to be one with everyone, and I just have to accept the way that everything, like the way that everyone operates. Well, that's not necessarily what it means when there's no separation. It means that if someone's coming to you and this is a waking dream, right? That you're creating that interaction with them. They're coming into your life because they're a part of you, and they're either being a reflection for you to show you something that's going on in yourself, or they're being a light to shine a light on a wound or a trigger that you have so that you can clear it. So that's what I mean. That's how I interpret no separation. In the grand scheme of things, we're all one, we're all connected. Like, we know that at the highest levels, there is no separation. But what that means down here is that there's no separation. That kind of goes into rule number 3, but we're going to just discuss a little bit about how you see no separation.
Well, I think I probably feel it the most because as an empath and as someone who's deeply sensitive, I feel what you're feeling. I feel the collective energy. I feel energy that's up there and out there. I feel the energy of the earth. So for me, I don't really feel separated from any of that because I feel the connection. And sometimes it feels really great to have that connection, those connections, and sometimes it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's important to know that, like, okay, if this is all a waking dream, then I have chosen every single person that's come into my life, because the same way I would in a dream. So would I have a dream that was maybe a nightmare and then wake up and be mad at this other person? Well, no, because they're not real. So, like, they're not separate from me. This is what my mind is creating. And so that in that way,
that's an important point.
Yeah. In that way, there's no separation. Yeah.
Our mind creates a lot of what we're experiencing. Yes, we're guided by the soul, but the mind has a lot of power to create connection or separation, whatever we assign it to. Yeah.
So let's say our heart is feeling everything. And then our heart's creating a program, sending it up to the mind. And the mind is like this, a massive computer.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, that's the program now. You're a person that's a victim. You're a person that gets taken advantage of. You can't count on anybody. Like, that's the program. Let me create more experiences that reinforce that.
I like how you explain that, because that works for both the positive and the negative experience. Our minds can create victimhood, and our minds can create we're thriving and we're triumphant, or whatever words you want to use. But our minds have a lot of power in what we experience in our lives. And so part of spiritual mastery is discipline of the mind. That was when I first woke up, that was where I started. I started noticing my mind and what it was doing. I was like, I had so many psychotic thoughts, Megan. For real. I had so many thoughts that I would consider psychosis.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I started tracking that. I started changing it. And
Yeah.
that's really what put me in a position of empowerment.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, the shadows that I was working through were around like resentment, being a very generous person. I started giving through resentment and not feeling like I was being reciprocated. And so that was the program that I was creating, that nobody's here to help me. No one, I'm on my own. I need and so
So more and more your experiences were that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Which I think ties into rule number 3 in that I am not a victim, right? So
this is a good one.
So if there's no separation, how could I possibly be a victim of somebody else? And you might say, like, well, Megan, like, some people are really suffering. Some horrible things are happening to them. How could you be so insensitive to their suffering? Well, wouldn't you find it to be more empowering to say, yeah, people are doing some really terrible things out there, but I have the power to stop it. I have the power to not experience that. So to me, like, it's more of a limiting thought form to say, I have no way to protect myself against people who are victimizing me.
Right?
Like, that's more limiting. Yeah. That means I just need to accept this reality that I'm going to be victimized. And I don't believe that's true.
Like we live on a prison planet. That's something that we've talked about before.
Yeah.
Well, if that's what you think, then you live on a prison planet. Then that's true.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be true.
No, it doesn't.
That's not the planet I live on.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it is, but only, because I'm operating from my wounds.
Yeah. Yeah. Only when I backslide. It's funny. I'm going to share something that Spirit shared with me. I was healing my body from something, and I went to ask Spirit, like, well, how can I heal myself of this? And it came to me, and they said, well, okay, are you ready to heal yourself? Are you ready to accept it? And I said, yes. And they said, okay. And they showed me some of my past experiences. So this is where it gets a little bit personal. Like, for those of you who are going to freak out, I was abducted by aliens. and then I also experienced, and this is another thing where this is important to talk about in the victimhood thing. I was sexually abused. And so what they said to me was that every time somebody touched you where they shouldn't have, you took that on as a piece of shame that you carried in your body that eventually manifested as a cancer. And so in order to heal yourself from that cancer, you have to let go of the shame. And they said, now here's the real kicker. Everyone that did that to you is just you, because there is no separation. And they're just your shadows operating to offer you an experience. They said, we do not force humans to believe this. We do not say this to humans because it can be insensitive to their suffering. But if you're willing to accept this, if you're willing to accept that there is no separation and that you're not a victim, you can heal your body. Yeah. And so that is like, so when I'm saying that, so when people, I look like a very, I appear to be a well-adjusted, happy individual, and I absolutely am to my core. But that doesn't mean that I haven't had difficult experiences on this planet. And so, I mean, I grew up poor. I grew up with a mother with mental disorders. Like, I was sexually abused. These are all experiences that my soul wanted to have, and that I agreed to have, so that I could figure out how to transcend them and how to share that information back with you. So it's not because I haven't faced adversity that I don't believe that I'm a victim. It's because I know that I'm not a victim. And that's how I would say it.
And you also figured out how to transform that program.
Yes.
Because when you have victimhood experiences and you feel like a victim, it feels legit.
Yeah.
Unless you realize what's happening, you just keep perpetuating, most likely. So it takes a
Yeah.
high level awareness. Like, they gave you that information because you were willing to see it
Yes.
and willing to take responsibility.
Yes.
And that, for me, it's a lot of responsibility to take,
Yeah.
but it's the kind of responsibility we have to take if we want to heal and move forward.
It was so liberating, honestly.
Yeah. it's
Like, I
amazing.
could have been like, oh, how dare you? Like, how dare you? Like, how dare you to say that those people are not separate from me? Like, they're the villains and I'm the victim.
Yeah.
And like, but I didn't. It was like, oh, like, I'm, that's no longer, okay. Like, oh, wow. That's kind of liberating. Like, I can be free of this experience if I'm willing to accept this.
Yeah.
And so that worked for me, and it'll work for you too, no matter how big the grievance or how small it is. Because if you accept the rules, they just work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely put that one into practice last year.
Yeah.
Megan knows I went through a pretty horrific year last year. And there were certainly times where I felt like a victim. And I would stop myself and look at that and be like, okay, I know I'm not a victim. That's not what's happening. And one of the things that really helped me was, because I believe that my soul is guiding my experience, I asked, why is my soul leading me into this experience? Why is my soul taking me here? What is here for me to learn, master, grow in? And asking that question turned the power around.
Yeah.
Because I could have asked, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
But when I asked that question, why is my soul leading me into this? Then I could get real with, any wounds that I had or anything I needed to work on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and when you want to go into the why, it's also important that what you want to focus on in the why is the feelings. Why is this feeling coming up? Why am I having this reaction? Why am I having this experience? Based on the feelings. That's what you want to analyze. Because
that's where the charge is.
Exactly. Yeah. That the feelings are everything. Like, it's all about how we're experienced. Like, it's the filter that we put everything through that creates the program. So you want to look at why around the feelings.
I love how you just broke that down.
Yeah.
Feelings are the filter. Yeah, it's true. And as a like an ultra feeling person, it's very easy for me to like spin out on that if I'm not paying attention and bringing myself back to center.
Yeah, absolutely. I had to, every time my consciousness expands and my abilities expand, I have to refine my center.
Yes.
Because now I'm processing more feeling, more emotion.
Yes.
And it shows me if those old programs are not cleared yet. Because it's like, because I'm like, all of a sudden, like, and I might go back into an old pattern that I wasn't really in, but like I thought I had completely cleared out, or I thought the new dominant pathway was not, intertwined with that one anymore. Yeah. And so it'll bring something up. So we're constantly readjusting. The more, and so that's important for all of you to know, the more you expand in consciousness, it just turns up the volume. That was something like the first time that spirit allowed me to experience nirvana. Yeah. It was like, whoa.
It's really loud up here.
It was like, wow, this is, like, it felt so good, but almost a little bit scary. Like, it was so good, but almost like a little bit scary.
Like, is it okay that it feels this good?
Because it's like because it's so intense. Like, because it's a lot to handle. And they would say to me, do you think humans are ready to handle this? And they said, are you ready to handle a little bit more? Let's turn it up. And and so it was an amazing feeling, but I understood then what a gift this was. What a gift it was to not be feeling all of that all the time. Like,
I so relate to that.
Yeah.
And, when I first started channeling Prime Creator, it was the same. It was like, it felt really intense. And now it's just like, I can just drop in and, open up the channel anytime I want to. And it doesn't, and then I can go about my day and I don't have to reground and do all the things I used to have to do.
Yeah, it becomes like breathing. It's just another sense like breathing. It doesn't feel that intense, but you have to acclimate yourself to the new energy. And then once you've done that, they're like, okay, let's give you some more.
And we're not a victim of the energy either.
Yeah.
there's a lot of, as you know, there's a ton
Yeah.
of energy pouring onto our planet
Yeah.
from a lot of different sources, and it can be intense. And
Yeah.
one of the things that these light streams are doing for people is they're exposing the wounds, they're illuminating the shadow.
Yeah.
And so if you haven't really gotten yourself well versed in, doing your inner work, doing your shadow work, whatever you want to call it, it can feel like it can
Yeah.
take you off center, even though it's light. It's,
Yeah.
something good that
it's going to amplify whatever's going on inside of you.
Yeah.
So like it could be an amazing tool. Like, well, it's just an amazing tool. It's either a hammer or like or an axe, or like a finishing tool. It just depends on where you are and what it's going to do with you. So that also brings me into rule number 4.
Yeah. And I want to say real quick.
Oh yeah.
Don't despair if you are feeling the intensity of the light. Just keep plugging away, doing your inner work. You integrate it. And the more you do your inner work, the faster you integrate it, the easier it becomes to go through those expansion processes. So don't despair. It gets better.
Yeah. Okay. So number 4, the universe is just saying yes to everything, right? So this is good because if you're saying I'm a victim, yes, you are. If you're saying I'm a victor, yes, you are. That's how it works. The universe is just saying yes to everything. And so it's important to keep that in mind when you're going through life. So instead of, and this is where limiting thoughts can really kind of bite you in the butt, right? Because you're like, because let's say you have an idea. So universe is looking for a vessel to bring an idea through. And you get this like spark of inspiration. If you start to think of all the reasons why it won't work, then the universe is going to say, okay, it won't work.
Yeah.
And it's going to move on to the next one.
As you wish.
Yeah. But if you get the idea and you say, well, how can I make that happen? Then it's going to say, okay, this is how you make it happen. Yeah. Let me clear the path for you. Yeah. So if I'm saying everything's always working out for me, the universe is saying, yes, everything's always working out for you. If I'm saying I'm always broke, the universe is saying, yeah, you're always broke. So you want to say cancel, clear. I'm not always broke.
Yeah.
Like those are the things like you want to, so it's just saying yes to every experience that you're dreaming up in your head.
Yeah. And I would like to add that it's more than just what you have in your head. It's also the energy that you're emanating. Because if you are radiating fear and anxiety, you have a different experience than when you're radiating love, joy, confidence. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with experiencing fear and anxiety. We all do it. But a lot of times when people talk about creating something or manifesting, they talk about, think about what you want. Well, it's more than that. It's about what you're feeling, the energy you're emanating. And I could go a lot deeper into all of that, but I just wanted to add that little piece in.
Yeah. Okay. So
the universe is saying yes to your being.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So none of this is real. It's all made up. There is no separation. I'm not a victim. The universe is just saying yes to everything. And number 5, this one's a difficult one. So I want you to keep those first 4 in mind before we go into number 5.
Everybody take a deep breath.
Everything's just okay. Everything's okay. So we want to get to a place where we're neutral, where we're not triggered by anything. Then that even means not feeling like a justice warrior. The truth is that we don't need warriors when everything's just okay. And so what does that mean? How do you apply this okay concept? And this is not mine. None of this stuff is mine. I didn't make any of this up. These are just the rules of engagement I've come to understand from doing the Giving Game. Thank you, Heather Noel, who brought all these things together so that we could all have these simple rules of engagement so that we would know how to win the game. So because it's a lot more fun when you realize you're playing a game. Yeah. So everything,
and when you know the rules.
Yeah. So the okay concept. So everything is just okay. So I'm going to give you an example of that. It's okay for you to take advantage of me, but it's also okay for me to do something about it. Right. So that's a simple example of it, and it can get more extreme. But how do you feel about that one?
Yeah, I get it at a very deep level, and it's actually something I worked a lot with last year.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay that this is happening. It's okay. And yet my nervous system and my neural pathways and, all of the things happening in my feeling body was saying the opposite.
Yeah.
No, this is not okay. This is not okay. And so that's where I did my inner work with healing my inner child. So it's not okay, or you're going to feel it as not okay where the wounds are. So if something doesn't feel okay, that's where the wound is.
Yes, exactly. And so when you can clear that charge around it, then you get to the neutral place, and then boom, a solution comes in.
Yeah.
So, and this is important. With this rule, it's important to also talk about the difference between protecting yourself and defending yourself. So, like, it's okay for me to protect myself against somebody taking advantage of me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, so, like, let's say, I
give us an example of protection versus defense.
Okay, so, I'm going to walk away from my vehicle. It's okay to lock the car.
Okay, that's protecting.
But standing there with a firearm, defending it, I'll shoot anybody that comes near my car. That's like a more extreme, like a defense, let's make it more personal.
Yeah, let's talk about something in interpersonal relationships.
Like, let's say somebody says something about me that I don't feel is true. If I feel I need to defend myself, that means that I don't fully love myself. Like, I need for this other person to see me the way that I see myself. I'm in a place of defense. And so protection and defense are two different things. Like, let's put it like the United States. Every country has their own military, right? That's their protection. Like, defending is an act of war. So that's an escalation, right? So if defense is put it in those terms. Defense is the first act of war. So when I start defending myself, now I'm in a conflict with somebody, and no solution, no resolution comes from conflict. It's only escalating. It's creating more tension. So if there's something that is when you realize there aren't any problems, like there's no problem, everything's just okay, and you become neutral on it, then solution comes in. So I've said this is a repeat of that. Like, once you make something a problem, that's when you get stuck. And that's what I mean by everything is just okay. That's what the okay concept means.
So that's so good. Once you make something a problem, that's where you get stuck. That's where you create a block for yourself. That's where you create limiting belief systems. So if you don't make something a problem, even if you're experiencing something, like say, something happens with a friend, if you don't see it as a problem, then there's nothing to do about it. But if you see it as a problem, then you have to defend yourself. Then you have to talk to all your other friends to make sure that they see you in a good light. There's these things that we do to make sure that, we're okay. But
which is when you make somebody else the villain too, that's suffering can be a veiled form of aggression. Because when I'm a victim of somebody else, they're bad and I'm good. In order for me to be a good person, someone else has to be a bad person. Yeah. So
that's definitely not true.
Yeah. So it's just my way of saying I'm more virtuous. I'm a better person than this other person. That's not true. So it's we're all just people having an experience. Yeah. And sometimes people choose the highest path and sometimes they don't. And that's okay. Yeah. That's just where they are in their level of enlightenment, which is what brings me into rule number 6. Rule number 6.
Okay.
So this is kind of a 2-part rule. I have no rights to make demands of anybody else, and what everybody else does is none of my business, right? Because everything they're doing is just okay. It's none of my business. I cannot demand that somebody reaches enlightenment on my timetable. It's up to them how long they want to take to do this, right?
Yeah. I'm laughing at the ridiculousness of that thought. How can I control anyone else's, path or process?
So let's say something's going on and I'm allowing myself to feel uncomfortable about it. And I want to really point out those words. I'm allowing myself to feel uncomfortable about it, because if I said, you're making me feel this way, that's where I've gone in the wrong direction. Yeah. Because no one can make me feel any way. That's right. I am the only one that's in charge of my feelings. And so
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's one of my like pet peeves when someone says, "You're making me feel this way." And it's like, no,
No.
I can't make you feel anything. I can
Yeah.
do things to trigger you. I can push your buttons,
Yeah.
but it's up to you how you respond.
Exactly. The only thing that we can control is ourselves, our own feelings. And so no one can make you feel no. So if I'm allowing something to make me uncomfortable, I can't say, Susie, you need to change your being so that I can be comfortable. Like, what you're doing is making me uncomfortable and you need to change. Like,
oh, okay.
You need to do this.
Let me just not be myself anymore so you can be comfortable. I mean, that's essentially what you're saying to someone.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be yourself anymore because I'm not comfortable with who you are.
Yeah.
Well, that's not that person's problem. That's your issue.
There are 7.5 billion people on this planet. Chances are they're not all going to like you. And you're not going to like all of them. Yeah. And that's okay. Because everything's just okay.
Because everything's okay. I'm fine.
But also, I can't demand that they behave in a way that makes me like them. Like, that allows me to like them. Yeah. So,
and it goes the other way, too. Like, you don't want to change who you are so that someone else likes you.
Yeah. And also, okay, so I have no right to demand that you be a certain way for me to feel comfortable. And also, it's none of my business what you're doing. Like, when I make it my business, that's when it becomes about me. Yeah. But it's not my business. If you want to do whatever it is that you want to do, that's okay.
Yeah, my judgment about someone or something says more about me than it does about that person or circumstance.
Yeah. So, like, however you want. If you want to drink from sunup till sundown, that might not be my idea of a good time, but it's okay, and it's none of my business if you want to do that. Like, and it's no, I have no right to demand that you don't do that. Yeah. Like, you'll figure it out in your own time, whether it's in this lifetime or the next one.
Okay.
And
can we get into some nitty-gritty with that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. What if they're doing it in your space?
Okay. So the reason...
You already know exactly what I'm asking.
Yeah, because it occurred to me, because it goes back into the okay concept, right? Mm-hmm. So because it's not okay with me, that's why it's coming into my space. I'm not okay with somebody else doing that. Therefore, it's a problem. Therefore, I'm experiencing it. So if I'm just okay with it, they're not going to come into my space. The more that you apply these rules, the more that you accept these things, the fewer times you create these experiences. Because going back into everything is my own creation. So if I got a bunch of alcoholics in my life, it's because I'm not okay with alcoholism, and I need to work on that. Like, and so
but you can say, like, if someone shows up at your door with a bottle of wine and they're already buzzed or drunk, you can say, I don't want that in my space.
It's okay to protect your space from that energy. Yeah. You don't have to engage with it. Yeah. Like, it's okay. And that also comes down to, like, loving yourself completely. Yeah. It's to say, like, I don't need to experience this. Yeah. This is not me. So we're just vessels, and when we become neutral, like, all we are is God speaking through us, right? So if I get a no on something, then it's a no. If I get a yes on something, then it's a yes, right? Yeah. And so if I don't have any feelings around it that are biased or being operated by my program, then I'm a complete vessel for God to speak through me. Or prime creator or spirit, or however you want to say it, whatever is comfortable for you, because that's okay too.
Take a deep breath, you guys, on that one, because that was really profound.
I would love to say I came up with it, but but it works. It's awesome.
It works, and I can feel the energy of it, and I can feel, like, the deep truth of it.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to take a pause to make sure we really, like, take that in.
And it also goes into rule number 7, and that's this: all you need is love. Right? Love is all you need. So if I love myself completely, then I'm okay with saying no when it's a no coming from God, and I'm okay with saying yes when it's a yes coming from God. So it ties into other people's path being none of my business. So if let's say someone came over and they're like, can you please do this for me? And for some reason, I'm feeling no, like I could easily hop in my car and give you a ride, or I could easily help
Yeah.
you move the furniture. Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
But does that mean that I should or I have to,
Correct.
right?
Correct. Yeah.
And so if it's a no, if I'm feeling any kind of resistance, like,
Yeah.
that's a no for me, that's just God telling me, don't interfere in this person's path. Like, this is not for you to do for them. This is not
Yes.
like,
I just watched a video this morning. She's pulling stuff in that's in the space here.
okay. So, and when you're fully in love with yourself, you don't say yes to things that are a no for you. And that was where, like, when I mentioned the shadows of giving that I was going through, like before, where I was giving out of resentment.
Yeah.
Well, I was doing things that were a no for me because I felt obligated,
Yeah.
because I felt guilty, and I felt like I should. And then in return, I was receiving resentment.
Yeah.
So, like, I was
it just doesn't work. When it's a true no,
yeah.
but you say yes anyway, it doesn't work for anyone.
So if I love myself completely, I don't care what their reaction's going to be to me saying no.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't change the love I have for myself or the love that I have for them.
Boom.
And so that's why all you need is love.
Now, I want, if we can.
Yeah. We can.
Okay. This is going to be a long video, but that's
okay.
Okay. If we can, I'd like to go into a nuance of this no, yes thing. Because sometimes it feels like a no, but there's a yes underneath, because the no is coming from the wounding, not from God, as you would say.
Yes.
Or not from your source or your soul. So I think that's an important distinction to make.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when I come across that, here's what I do. I take my mind out of it.
Yeah.
And I do a sway test or a
There you
muscle
go.
test.
Yeah.
Like, get the mind out of the way.
Yeah.
Let the soul, let the body tell me.
Yeah.
If this is it, like,
excellent.
Why this is a no, or why this really is a yes.
Yeah.
Like, if sometimes you'll get a no because let's say an opportunity comes along for you to improve yourself and have a better experience.
Yeah.
And you're being resistant to it. Well, the reason that you're being resistant to it is because your dominant neural pathway is saying that even though you're not happy, and even though you feel victim-y and like you're suffering and you're angry with everyone else, that's what we're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And that's what the program's telling me is that is what your core beliefs are telling me you want to experience the world as.
Yeah.
So when it's a situation like that, there can be resistance, and it has to do with not being ready to embrace that change. And so that's when a good like muscle test kind of comes in, or a sway test, or
awesome.
or just like a willingness to surrender.
Yeah.
Like
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I just go a little bit deeper. I get the initial impulse, and then I like double check, is that true?
Yeah.
Is that, I talk with my soul or my heart or whatever it is, and I just go a little bit deeper underneath the first answer, and it's like, is it actually a yes? Is it actually a no? And I've been doing it long enough, it's pretty easy for me to get clarity pretty quickly in general. Yeah. But I like your method too.
Yeah. Well, here's another example of that too. Like, I'm an introvert. So I like to be alone. And so a lot of times people will ask me if I want to do something, and my knee-jerk reaction is, nope. No, I don't want to do that. Yeah. And so, but that's coming from like the desire to be alone. So then I have to like really step back a little bit. Like, how do I feel? How do I really feel about this? Is that going through my introvert filter, or is that God speaking through me? Yeah. And so if it's not God speaking through me, it's like,
this is where self-awareness is really helpful, because if you know yourself, then you can access the true no and the true yes a lot quicker.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, okay, so those are the 7 rules, the 7 rules of engagement. Number 1, none of this is real. Number 2, there is no separation. Number 3, you are not a victim. Number 4, the universe is just saying yes to everything. Number 5, everything is just okay. Number 6, I have no rights to make any demands on anybody else, and what everyone else is doing is none of my business. And number 7, all you need is love. So perfect. Just keep these things in mind, and you will have a much better time enjoying the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was a lot. And remember, you guys, this is an introduction. This is an overview. We'll be coming with a lot more depth with these concepts and ideas. And even though I haven't officially been working with them in the way that Megan has, I have been working with each and every one of these ideas in my own way. So I'm excited to bring more.
Yes, and this is just a resource for everyone to get there, because it's up to you how long you want to take, or how you want to, what journey you want to take in life. But there are a lot of excellent resources out there for you, which you can find on my website, divinemissm.com, and on your website.
My websites now. We have creationtemple.com, susiebeiler.com, dragonsspeak.com, and the newest, Sedona rebirthingretreats.com.
Ooh, that's nice. You got a lot of great stuff going on. That's super exciting. I like to keep it simple. One site. No, I have one site for this stuff. So if you want to have a personal session with me, go to divinemissm.com. And also, I coach people through this stuff. So as well as Susie, so you can become a member of the Creation Temple, or you can sign up for my Giving Game series, where now the Giving Game is absolutely free. You can go to the givinggamefoundation.com and you can sign up for that, and it's a 60-day program that you can walk through. But if you want to go more in depth and really need some extra help, or desire some extra help, because you don't need anything, if you would like some extra help getting there faster, and using my intuitive abilities to help you,
getting support.
Yeah, then I am here to do that. I absolutely love doing it. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. I'm so grateful that Heather came into my life and into your life, and that Spirit made room for me to do this stuff with everybody. So
yeah. And just a quick note about the Creation Temple and what that is, if you're not familiar. It's an online membership website. And the top level members and I meet every week live via video. So you get on the spot personalized support and guidance. We do I do channeling. And we have so many talented members in the group. Like, each person has a specific role. So if you feel called to be part of a soul family, that's what we are. So creationtemple.com if you feel guided to that.
And if you love these videos, be sure to subscribe to our channels.
Yes.
I'm the Divine Miss N, and your channel is?
It's Shamalata too, but if you just find Susie Beiler on Google, you'll find me.
Yeah. Or click the button below.
Click the button below and subscribe. That's the easiest.
Awesome. Love you guys. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Megan, and thank you guys for watching our videos. Much love.